without further ado, this is Bryson Jones, the high-def cowboy.
Final Cut integration in this program is unbelievable. It also works really well with Adobe products because Apple did a really beautiful thing. They opened up their XML standard. They published it. They said, here it is, please use it. So people made all these amazing third-party apps to be able to parse XML. CatDV able to read that and is aware, as you can see, of what's going on in my Final Cut Pro project. By the way, just for the record, anything you see here tonight does not constitute an endorsement of me or even that it's a client. You may find initials that you see from big, huge national companies. They may or not be working with me. So anyway, moving on. Legal disclaimer out of the way. As we said before, let's go back and step into what we were just doing there. If we slow down, we've got a clip area here that we drug our clips into. Clips can be drug in manually. They can be ingested automatically by the worker. Or you can use a function called the tree that I don't really show. It's a little more advanced to import them. You can bring in, we're aware of image sequences, and later I'll show you all types of different media that we can bring in. So if you have some crazy animation project, we can actually bring that in, make that as a meta clip, and you can play that in the Speaking of playing, one quick thing to show you. The views can be changed from icon views. We can go to list views. I don't have any metadata in that one there. Here's the basic info. There we go. And all of these headings that are set here are customizable. So these views become printable or exportable. It's not real sexy, but this is Hollywood, and we have to account for what we do. And so I always bring that up when I'm talking to people in post because it's like you got to give somebody a report. Pull these clips, find these clips, pull down that layout, and then print out the metadata. It's the old school way we hand off metadata, but it's still really, really common, and we got to deal with it. So it's something I always bring up to people. We're going to show you slicker ways to deal with that, but here we go. The film strip views are really good because you can see we've already extracted some thumbnails, and we can go through here and see what we're dealing with as far as footage goes. So the clip area is here. Again, customizable views. We can see what we're working with. Up here, we have the details panels, and this is where we actually see the metadata, and we can actually tag it. One thing that we can do that's a really powerful thing, I can select all of these and go in here and say that VAS was the production company on all those clips. I can do that with 1,000 clips. So a lot of asset managers that are written by database guys and lab coats in the lab somewhere in Milwaukee who've never actually been on the set of a production don't understand that we don't have 5 hours to select each asset, tag it nicely, and then submit, and then wait for the server to process it and put it together. Right now, we're not working on a server at all. We're collecting metadata on a system. Another powerful thing about CatDV, it can work away from its server. You can take it into the field and tag quickly. I can open up a drive, drag it in, select all, and quickly tag what was going on. I've already got my date because, the brave new world of QuickTime and Tapeless, we already have all that data, but now we can actually put some real information on at the point of origin. When we come home, we can then publish that catalog that we've made up into the server. So think of the catalog, and I'll go ahead, for instance, I'll just show you here. We'll save a local catalog. If we go in here and save this as a catalog, I can go to my desktop and just, it's going to be a test catalog. It's going to give me the right extension. And now I've got a little file on here. If I go up here, I'm finding my desktop here. Oh, I've hidden my desktop, excuse me. Here we go. There we are. I'm recording this, so it's a little wacky there. If we go up here onto our desktop, we can see that I have this little 288K catalog. And that includes all this information here in this system. So now I've got this metadata here. This is all customizable. This is another thing I didn't want you to get too tied to. For instance, this was set up for VAS Entertainment. VAS's challenge was that they needed to take in metadata about their projects. They manage an archive of a few thousand action sports titles. And so they're repurposing those to be sold out in multiple formats. So they have DVDs now, and they need to make, like everyone else in the world, it's going to iTunes, it's going to video on demand, it's going to go to broadcast. So the idea was that every one of those people we deliver to wants their data in a different way. So VAS was able to go in and say, okay, we're going to have the master set of, at this point, I think 110 fields that are captured, and they catalog that all and type that in, and that's laid out across these layouts. Some of them are not even visible in here. I'll change to a little different view here. So what we're doing in this layout right here is we've actually got their basic info they type in. Then, say if we were going to send out to Orchard, we can quickly check and see all the fields that are necessary for Orchard. Same for a company called Union. And if you notice, the production company, well, Union likes to call that the licensor, not the production company. So we've typed it once, we've delivered it a different way. That also works on the outside when we send off an XML. So we can take and export that clip and an XML file to anyone. So literally, iTunes likes it different than the VOD guy. It's a simple translation, and it can be done automated with the worker. So the point of these guys is that all of this can change. I'm going to show you, I'm logged in over here. I'm going to show you the NASCAR setup, for instance. I'm going to change all my settings. The interface is going to change because each production group has its own view. The way NASCAR is set up is a really unusual thing, and I like to show this as a really great example because if you come over here in NASCAR and you look at the archiving guys, well, they're dealing with all kinds of crazy information. They've got all this stuff they want to do. They want to know what paint scheme. They want to know, man, this thing, that's a Shrek 2 sponsored that car. So anyway, you're often, at Talladega or wherever they are doing this thing, and basically they tag this stuff up. The encoders deal with a whole other set of things. You can see these guys really go deep in their stuff, and they have all kinds of metadata here. And then the thing I really love is that if you log in as a producer, here's what you see. You can make a note, and you can say, that was good. So the point is that we can respectfully protect producers from themselves. They don't need to know about posts. They don't even know what 1080 means, and they don't have to. And the point is that we can show the post guys one thing, we can show the producers another. So a quick, powerful little thing. Another reason, though, that this app is really confusing because our classic thing that would happen at Melrose Mac is we would get a demo, somebody would download the demo, and they go, oh, yeah, I downloaded it, and a major Hollywood director, his home archivist downloaded the demo, looked at it and said, nah, not for us. Doesn't do anything. Because it comes with the 14 or 15 metadata fields from Final Cut Pro, not laid out in any sensible way. You look at it and you're like, what is this crazy app? What is it? Well, the point is that you can see that some pretty big companies have done this. Quick sidebar about NASCAR to give you an idea of does it scale. NASCAR, as of NAB, is running 2.5 million video clips with 3,000 terabytes of proxy, low-res proxy. Their high-res, we couldn't get a count on. The tape library that does it, the loader, is apparently almost the size of this room, the robot. It's a big front porch system, and that integrates all. And that actually integration is being done now between CatDV and the front porch rig. So this scales really huge. The thing I love about it is you can also, as an editor, this is my favorite thing to talk about with the client. We can come in here, and actually I'm just going to take this and show this really quickly to you in here. I'll just say it. One of the big things that we can do moving on into the movie window is, just open a new window on this guy. We can come over here and grab some footage. Let's grab some of that NASCAR footage. We can come in here and grab some clips from this footage, drag it in. I can come in here, I can create a preview movie, a proxy, and this will build a preview movie. And I think I have window burn on this, timecode window burn and set. There it is, built and done. And now I've got a low-res proxy of this thing, and you can see I have my preview with my window burn. Timecode matches to my high-res. And what that allows us to do is we can have that proxy living on a NAS or a server over Ethernet. A producer sitting at their laptop can search and look at everything you shot. Proxy can be automated, so we can create that automated as stuff comes in. The big thing it does is it keeps producers from coming into your bay and touching the screen all the time. And we let them go off in their own thing. And my favorite thing that I like to say about that is the guy says, hey, could you make me a string out? How about if you make me a string out? How about you pick the clips you like, and it's going to be called string out. There we go. You pick the clips you like, and you get the parts you like, and you say, I like that out, and I like that in. That's cool. And let's see here. I want to take this down. I think that should be a little bit shorter. Let's go through there. I get that ready. And then how about you hand me that when you're done with it, and I'll just drag in, and I'll link up to the high-res. And there it is, ready to go. And now, these are all weird little web movies, but there are my cuts from the producer brought straight into Final Cut Pro. What's interesting about this app is that you can buy 2 copies of this app for a producer and an editor. And in the famous words, famous last words you ever want to hear from things, I'm working on a documentary. Like that's like, yeah. I'm working on a documentary. And so a guy comes in and brings you 50 DV tapes that he shot. And he puts them in, and you digitize them, and they're on his drive. And they're on your edit system. And the only way that guy can see the footage, because he doesn't have Final Cut, is it's on your drive. So for me, the most basic implementation of CatDV is we take 2 copies, we create proxy. If you use Photo JPEG 320 by 240, you can put 1,000 hours on a 1 terabyte drive. You send that guy home with his copy of CatDV, and they watch and mark to their heart's content. And then all they have to do is email you catalogs, and it links to the high-res on your rig. So for me, from NASCAR to the underwear army is what I kind of get at that, which, by the way, it's our home editor term is the underwear army. But so the idea of that is a pretty powerful little thing. I can go in here and create these proxies. If the media is offline and I can see the proxy, I see the proxy automatically. If the media is online, I see both. If no media is online, I still can see the thumbnail. And I've got all the metadata, so I've got a trail of crumbs to where it was, especially as Curtis was talking about, when you have 50 FireWire drives and you don't know where they are. Scan the footage. If you want to create proxy, put that drive back on the shelf and leave the proxy on the NAS or on the server, and someone then could actually go in and see everything you've got and then know. If you look in here, I'm going to switch back over to VAS. By the way, VAS, guys, this has been slightly modified for NAB and demo purposes, so it's not exactly your layout. Here we go. If we come back over here, there we are. Now we've updated our view. If we look in our basic info over here, we see the media path. So I know that this is living on volume, sand, masters, NASCAR. And I use that a lot when people don't know what they're doing and they use something in a project. You can at least see that if it says Macintosh HD, you know that someone's made a mistake. It's like, oh, okay, let's go track that down. The good news is we have all the metadata that someone typed. We also have the metadata they didn't type. We know what size it is. We know all sorts of things about it just from all this other stuff. So up here in this window in the movie player, this is a resizable. Let's go ahead and grab in here and get this guy kind of big. And this is a horrible piece of footage to look at. Let's look at some nice surf footage or something. Here we go. Motorcycles, man, motorcycles. Here we go. So now, there we go. So now we've got standard JKL editing features. You can, that works. Your I and O keys mark your ins and outs. We can do all sorts of things in here. It's a pretty powerful little editor in and of itself. The big thing is that a producer on a PC can make a string out or an edit for a Mac on Final Cut Pro or Premiere because, again, we're using the Final Cut Pro standard. And so that's a pretty cool thing also is that even if you can't do the integration, if you're using Premiere or something like that, you can still use an XML and export that. These cuts, everything comes out. There's a million formats to go out. So these lists, and I will say, in all fairness, some of this stuff is more reliable than others. The Final Cut Pro is perfect. Adobe works really well. And Avid is getting very, very, very close. I'm going to show you some neat things here in a little bit. The last thing over here I want to show you is this part over here, which is the tree. And the tree, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on. It's pretty misunderstood, but the basic idea of the tree is it's where we work with saved searches. We work with the file layout of our hard drives, and we also interact with the server over here. If you can see, I have all these production groups. Inside a shop, you'd probably have less of these, but the idea is that we can manage people's access to the media and the metadata on either all the way down to the field level. We can lock certain fields, we can hide them, and we can also have different production groups within our facility that see different parts of the media. Another powerful thing about CatDV's proxy layout is, and this is good for IT guys amongst you, is the proxy's not tied to the actual server, meaning that you can have proxy in a remote location, and you can sync that proxy up so that your New York office could see the proxy in their office and have a nice zippy way to find clips and then request high res from you or vice versa. The other thing is that you can also divide up the proxy so that different production groups save their proxy somewhere else. If you have sensitive material, that goes off in a locked share that nobody can get to. And I work in a lot of reality shows, and trust me, there's a lot of sensitive material that get locked off in the hey, what's this file that's marked with all X's? Like that, never mind.